So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And that's a nice little pre-season friendly to have under our belt, isn't it? In the Bescot, Aston Villa 4, ROma 0. And to be honest with you, a really enjoyable game of football, save for a 2-minute period with Morgan Rogers being on the ground, injured and having to go down the tunnel. But we won't start off with stuff like that. We'll wait for. Look, it's best to wait for any commentary on that from the actual team itself to come out before we do any speculation. But to me, it looked like it was precautionary. Aston Villa 4, ROma 0. There's so much more to talk about in this game because this is a game that Aston Villa, Villa fans, we've wanted to see. I personally wanted. I've wanted to see it for a lot of reasons, and the reason, and those being that I've been speaking about Buendia specifically, and maybe not seeing enough of him or not seeing what I wanted to see from pre-season. But the man was keeping his powder dry for our best opposition that we were facing. And we came up against ROma today. And I thought Buendia was absolutely sensational in that first half. I really, really did. Thought his play with Ollie Watkins was really good. Their movement, the spaces they were occupying, they weren't getting in each other's way. I thought they were absolutely fantastic, the two of them. I thought Jacob Ramsey looked really, really, really busy on that left-hand side. Gets a great finish from a super pass from Yuri Tielemans. I forgot to mention about Buendia's absolute perler of a free kick into the top corner as well, which is, I'm not sure we've seen that from Emi Buendia in his Aston Villa career, so it's super to see it. We obviously had that Ollie Watkins header, which is almost inevitable Ollie Watkins header at the moment. He seems to be imperious in the air, to be honest with you. He seems to be doing really, really well there. I thought he was superb in the first half again as well. Real good centre forward play, occupied the two centre halves, and just is having a really, really good preseason. Something he didn't have last year. Something something that we all wanted him to have this year, and so far so good for him. Other good performances that I saw, I thought Leon Bailey did pretty okay today as well. I have posited previously that Lamar Bogard and Ezra Konsa may potentially have been handcuffed together and locked in a room for the last 2 months, and I'm yet to see any evidence to the contrary of that. That Lamar Bogard is learning from Ezri Konsa, and there's there's no rebuttal that will make me believe otherwise, because he is morphing into an Ezri Konsa type player. I was quite happy with how he played tonight. Again, played at right back, moved into that centre back position. We saw that marauding run from Ezri Konsa when he went more or less out into that right back position. He gets up there, right up the field, and tries to cross the ball, albeit that it was knocked out or it was blocked. But overall, a really, really good performance. Emi Martinez could have pulled out a deck chair for the first half, and then obviously the second half comes, and there's quite a lot of changes at halftime. Apologies, I'm up since 4:30 this morning, and so the mind is barely, like, I'm puffing black smoke out the back of my head, I think, at this stage. But a lot of changes at halftime, which did knock the momentum. But one thing I wanted to see is, I don't care how a centre forward plays. Well, I do, but realistically, I don't care how a replacement centre forward plays, as long as he scores goals. And I don't think any fan in the Premier League or world football cares about how a replacement centre forward, or probably any centre forward, plays, as long as he scores goals. And I think we saw that with John Duran last year. That, John Duran came on sometimes he was a bit headless in his play, but he turns around, he bangs one in the back of the net, and everybody forgets about that. And he's Yeah, his name is in lights. And while I'm not equating Daniel Mallon and John Duran, what I am saying here is that Mallon comes off the bench and he finishes a finish today. I haven't seen Ollie Watkins do an awful lot of that in the last season or two for Aston Villa, albeit he's scored some very good goals, don't get me wrong. But where Daniel Mallon takes that ball from, moves it still outside the box, and then just powers it in the bottom corner against a good goalkeeper. You know, that's nice to see from who he has been treated, I suppose, really as a replacement level number 9. And I don't mean that to denigrate him in any way, shape, or form. But it's a finish like that like, I'm not sure Ollie Watkins takes on that shot, number one. And secondly, that is a shot that Daniel Mallon will take on. It's a shot that we've seen him try to take on for Aston Villa since he's been at the club in the limited minutes that he's had. And I just want my strikers to keep scoring. You know, strikers, forward players, got to keep them scoring. Yes, it's lovely to have that buffer of maybe a defender who gets 4, 5, 6 goals in a season. But, you know, strikers and forward players are paid to score. And I was really interested, really happy tonight to see our left winger score, to see our number 10 score, to see our number 9 score, and to see the man who replaced our number 9 come on and score as well. That was really, really good to see against an opposition that, yes, you know, let's call it what it is. They're a week behind us in their preparation, but still they're damn good side, and they're good side of professionals and internationals that came here to play. And we didn't let them play in the first half. They were playing the Gasparini style very much so in that first half, and we found a way around it, which I thought was nice, which I thought was really nice to see. Other kind of notable highlights that come to mind, I suppose, really was Jamaldine Jamaloba comes on, and thought he was really unlucky. It was a nice little snapshot from him from outside the box, just goes wide. Potentially the keeper might have had it, but you know, that's great for his confidence to get on a ball like that, get turned, and he was just on the field of play as well. Can't have been easy for him coming on 4 minutes after half time. No real warm up. Morgan Rogers not expected to come off, and probably the last player you really want to come on for in a situation like that. But he gets that snapshot, he gets turned, and he gets his shot away. I was delighted to see George Hemmings come on. I can't state how much I want him to succeed at Aston Villa. I can't state how much, with a bit of bulking up, maybe a good loan, that I think this guy can be a really, really good midfielder. And I'm not the only one. And I'm certainly not a bandwagon jumper with regards to him. But he's somebody that really does excite me. Just the way he plays football is tailor-made for Unai Emery's system. And we need to get those players, as you say. We need to get players that can come in, supplement our team, our squad, and get to that level. And my money's on him to be the next guy up that hopefully will be somebody breakthrough from the academy. And I thought his positionally fared pretty well today. The game was kind of dead and flat at that stage, but ROma were, they were passing that ball around. Matthias Sule comes on, hits the crossbar. Big fan of his too. But ROma were really kind of toothless in attack an awful lot. One or two of their other attempts, I think, came from maybe overzealous Bescot passes, and not like he just drilled a couple of passes at our defenders. But he got himself out of jail in one of those instances as well. So I think that it's I think on the whole he was a positive as well from that point of view. Yeah, so like I was hoping Paddy could jump on for this. I thought he was. Oh no, maybe he was texting me. Mike. No, I was hoping he could jump on because I'd like to have somebody else to chat to with regards to that game, because there's so much, and I'll actually look forward to go back and seeing it again. But just because, as I say, my mind is turned to mush this afternoon with regards to how long I've been awake, and it's been subsequent 4:30 starts for me over the last 5 or 6 days. So I'm running on fumes, and I do have a different Paddy with me here today, and my good luck charm. Paddy the dog is behind me here as well. So, but unfortunately, his English isn't great. What else, I suppose, from this game as well? And I'll come to your comments in a moment. What else did I notice? The tempo of the game was really high. specifically in that first half. It was rat-a-tat-tat from Aston Villa. You know, we were looking to go at this team. They pressed us really well at times. Well, actually throughout the game, but we played around their press. We played around some of the situations that put us in. Yuri Tielemans obviously being instrumental in that. Kamara, Matsson's pace being instrumental in that as well. And you know, the more I see Maatson and Ramsey down that left hand side, the more I'm beginning to see a partnership develop down there. And that's good because they're two young players. They're two players that I think Aston Villa should be looking to hold on to. I know there's been a lot in the rags about Jacob Ramsey, you know, going and being available for transfer to West Ham and Nottingham Forest and so on. But for me, his style of playing, yes, he may not be everybody's cup of tea, but you know, partnerships are formed, and partnerships can be as lethal as individual brilliance. And I'm beginning to see something form between the two of those guys down that left hand side. And I don't want it to be broken up by for what I would term at this moment in time as a needless sale of Jacob Ramsey. Currently, will his time be limited potentially on the field? Yeah, but look, we're looking for replacement level players, and what I mean by that again is not to denigrate anyone, but if we are going to hit the buffers at some stage from a form point of view, from an injury point of view, from a competing on 2 or 3 or 4 fronts point of view, you're going to need to rotate players. And like Jacob Ramsey is an absolutely exceptional replacement level player, is what I would call him as, to bring in there and somebody. And then once again, I don't mean that in a negative way, but what I mean by is if you are starting Morgan Rogers out there on that left hand side, and Morgan Rogers needs to come off after 70 minutes, and you're bringing the Jacob Ramsey in there, I think, you know, you're still keeping that carrying ability. So you're solidifying that second 11 that will be needed. And gone are the days whereby substitutes are considered substitutes. Football is changing, and with the 5 substitutes, and I don't need to tell any of you guys this, but I will anyway. With the 5 substitutes, it is turning more to like kind of a rugby style situation, whereby you will have your guys for the trenches that you're going to bring in for the last 20 minutes, half an hour, to change up pace, or maybe to continue pace, or maybe to, you know, to solidify that team, because you can essentially substitute 50% of your outfield players. So I got kind of sidetracked there on that, but what I wanted to say was that partnership between those guys is really really hotting up there as well. I suppose on the whole, I thought that second half was difficult to judge, but there was 1 or 2 instances where I saw something different from Pau Torres. And once again, look, we're talking about 45 minutes of football, so I'm not going to make any sweeping statements here, but Pau Torres, I thought, looked to get a small bit more physical, and we even saw it. He did give away a free against Dovbek at one stage, but he looked like he had a hold of his shirt. Didn't even see that last year. You know, he wasn't willing to get physical and get in around players and, you know, start grappling and holding and getting involved in the physical side of the game with centre forwards last year. But he did it tonight. Am I saying that this is a turn the corner, sliding doors moment with regards to him being introduced to physicality in the Premier League? I'm not quite sure, but I still like to see it. I like to see it for 45 minutes. I like to see that he was willing, and yes, he did give away a free. I'm okay with that. I'd much prefer if you give away a free there than to have the striker get you turned or get his pass away to an on-running Mateus Sule and then breaks the line because you're out of position. I'm okay with what he did there. I prefer to see players get a small bit more physical and want to get in underneath their shirt like he tried to do there as well, because sometimes you'll get away with it, sometimes you won't, but it really depends on the area of the field. And in that area of the field, I'm actually okay with that bit of physicality, to let that striker know that, right, yeah, okay, you want to come to play, you want to go and try and start throwing your shoulders around the place, fine, I'm going to stand up to it here. And I think that's something we've all been looking for Pau Torres to develop. Has he developed it? Time will tell. I'm just saying I saw it a couple of times tonight in the 45 minutes, which is hopefully progress from that point of view. But yeah, look, there's a lot of positives from this game. And once again, as I say, they're a team that are a week behind us in their preparation, just like we went to Walsall and we lost to a team who are a week ahead of us in our preparation as well. You know, saying that, I still do not take anything away from the goals that we scored, and that's what we can talk about here. Is the goals that we scored were well worked goals, and there were goals that, well, specifically like the free kick was a goal. I don't think like the goalkeeper could have been like just because they're a week behind us doesn't mean the goalkeeper isn't saving that. That isn't being saved because it's a bloody good free kick. I think Jacob Ramsey's worked goal was brilliant in the fact that I don't like if they were on parity with us with regards to fitness and stuff like that. I don't think they're stopping that because it was just such an incredible pass from Yuri Tielemans and a really good finish as well. That I don't think you're stopping that either. Again, the header for Ollie Watkins clips in off the post, power, pace, direction. Goalkeeper isn't saving that if we're another week down the line. So, but I understand that the fact that the fluidity of the game and how the game worked, I suppose, specifically in the first half, and how kind of much more fluid, coherent that we were. It does probably come from a week extra of togetherness and preseason. But those goals were going to be scored regardless. They were just bloody good goals. And then you come in to the second half when the game is a lot tighter. They've obviously made changes, ROma have. Gasparini, known for his brilliant, astute tactical knowledge, makes those changes, engages with Villa a small bit more. They get a bit more of the ball, but then you get that excellent goal again from Daniel Mallon. So what I'm getting at here is that while you don't get carried away with the performance, you can really highlight the quality and the technique that was involved and the situational ability that Villa showed to work those positions, specifically for the Ramsey goal. They're all positives. Like the striking of the ball for all the goals was really top notch. There's been times like where there was times last off season where we weren't seeing that, and because a lot of our experienced players were not able to play. They're coming back off international duty. Andy Watkins, namely, and a few more. The togetherness, the cohesion, and stuff like that. That's what you want to see, and that's what we saw tonight. And that's what we saw for the first 45 minutes. And the second 45 minutes was an awful lot more dogged, but still like to see it as well. It was a really calm kind of second half as well, and what they had to dig their heels into for a ROma onslaught, which kind of came. Didn't really come, and Villa picked them off then with that Daniel Mallon goal. Right, I'm going to come to some of your comments there. Apologies, I've neglected them so far, but let's pop that some of these guys up. I will. Thank you so much for a view from the stands for rating us as well. That's really appreciated. Thank you so much. I was wondering why there were so many people in here waiting, but I really, 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 really appreciate that. Johnny Walker says, hopefully Rogers coming off was precautionary and not a bad injury. Big shout out to Emily Buendia. Yeah, look, let's talk about the Morgan Rogers thing. Goes down with a bang to the head, first of all, and then secondly, I think the commentary kind of may have made it out to be a bit worse than it was. I didn't see any contact at all, which some people would say is bad. Some people say it mightn't be bad. It looked like it was a severe, maybe twist of the ankle. I don't know, like the way he looked like. I think the conversation was, listen, let's get him off. There's no point in him playing through the pain barrier. I think if that's a semi-final of an FA Cup or a final of an FA Cup and that happens 3 minutes into the game, I think Morgan Rogers is playing on. But we'll wait and we'll see what Unai Emery says. We'll see what comes out afterwards. Like I'm more hopeful. We've 10 days to go before the start of the season. If he doesn't get to play at the weekend, I'm not too perturbed about it. He's had a good preseason so far. He's been involved. It would be nice to get him in there for whichever one of those two games. And probably, I would imagine you're going to probably see your first 11 play on Saturday and maybe your second 11 play on Sunday, or a mixture of the two of them, and they'll play the majority of the game. If he's fit for that, that's absolutely fantastic. But we'll wait for Unai Emery. Put it this way. I'm not going to lose sleep over it tonight because it didn't look like a bad injury. And second of all, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. But there's nothing that will rest my mind on it until I hear from Unai Emery. So pop it in the comments if somebody has seen that, or even better, if any of you want to tweet it at me about what Unai Emery may or may not have said, or if they said anything on Villa TV as well, please do, because obviously I don't have access to any of that while I'm on this as well. Melty says that Buendia definitely looked out to prove himself. Absolutely, and I'm going to take 100% credit for that, because I didn't call him out, obviously, but I just kind of said I was expecting to see a game like this from him, a game where he was going to come to play and show that he's to be kept around. And I didn't really see that in the preseason so far. But Jesus, today was an impressive performance for him. His work rate was fantastic. There was one or two misplaced passes, but I'm fine with a 10 doing that from time to time. The goal was superb. I just thought he was really energetic, and he was really on it today. And I'd probably give him man of the match, if I'm honest. So well done to Emi Buendia there as well. Where are we? Where are we there? And once again, thank you so much to Josh from A View from the Stands as well for rating us. This is superb. And sorry there now. Let me see. I'm going to just scroll down through here and see. Barry Fitzachary says, great win. Such good effort by all. Also has to be said, Jed Steer is great and is a great commentator. Big career ahead of him, should he want to continue after playing this. Absolutely. An enjoyable commentator. A man who's able to explain things in an easily understood way. And is jocund, is able to show a kind of a lightness to his commentary at times. There was one situation there where the ROma goalkeeper had to come out to the right-hand side. It was maybe about 10 yards in from the sideline, and he just went, oh, I hate having to take these, because if you shank this one, you're a million miles away from your goals. And you could hear the sincere nervousness in his voice as part of the goalkeeper union, kind of going, please don't mess this one up, because it makes us all look like we all look bad if we mess these ones up. So I love Jed Steer. Yeah, he's been a real breath of fresh air. You can understand why he keeps on getting asked back. And it's great to see that he still appreciates Aston Villa that much, that he would come back and do that for the club. And he's really growing into it. And it was great to see that himself and Lee Hendry both had a uniform tonight, because they were both wearing exactly the same clothes. So that was interesting to see as well. That's how in tune as a commentary. And that's, you want your players to be in tune on the field, but it's good to be in tune in the commentary box as well. So fair play to the guys there. But yes, Jed Steer was absolutely superb as well. Absolutely superb. Where else are we? Jake Aston Villa says, even if Borgard is learning those little traits from Konza, will massively benefit for if we ever need him in midfield too, reading the play and protecting the ball like that. Again, absolutely. And the beautiful point of versatility, I think. And that's probably the main takeaway from Monchi's transfer window so far, is the versatility of the players that we've seen come in. And arguably it's the players that, and I know Ozcan, yes, and Yashin Ozcan isn't one of those guys, but it's the guys that aren't that versatile that have been brought in, that have taken longer to get into the team, i.e. Ian Matson, Onana. I know Onana started, but obviously he's been, and he's a central midfielder. But what I'm getting at here is, like, Andres Garcia is being brought along because he's specialist right back. Ian Matson was brought along at a slower pace. He was specialist left back. Even when Disasi came in, he was used at right back. He was used at centre half. There was an appetite to use them a small bit quicker if you've got versatility. And that's fine. I can understand if somebody's a specialist right back, you want them to make sure that they're really good at that position, or that they're that you can nail them down to that position. And when we talk back again, I suppose there about Lamar Bogart, he's taking his licks at right back. He took his licks at centre half last year when we absolutely needed him to play there. He played pretty okay in that game. He's come on in central midfield and, sometimes looked a small bit worried on the ball, but now he's looking composed. Now he's looking like he's the game is slowing down for him, as they say. And that versatility is always going to be the extra arrow in his quiver, that he's going to be able to pull out whenever he needs to. And long may it continue, because even the guy that we signed today, who actually, Evan Gassand, I have I had a brilliant chat with Alexander Barker from The Athletic today. You guys might know him. If you don't know him, you need to start listening to his stuff. He's really good. Alexander Barker on The Athletic. Had a great conversation with him. He'll be out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I recorded it just before the game, and I'll be releasing it tomorrow at 10 a.m. He has some really good tweets out about Evan Gassend. I would go so far as to say there's very few people who've watched as much footage of him of Gassend as Alexander Barker. So please look out for that tomorrow at 10 a.m. because it was a really good conversation. It was an in-depth conversation as well. But getting back to the versatility point of view and to Bogart, yes, that's going to be his the notch in his belt that other people won't have. As for a lot of the other players we have, that's why Unai Emery will likely keep them around the squad more and more and more, because versatility is king when you're trying to cover 25 spots with 21 players, essentially, if that makes sense. If you have 25 man squad that you can name, and if you can't fill all the spots because you don't have enough senior players, if you can do it with 21 players, Unai Emery is going to be a happier man if he's got that versatility. Do we all agree with it? Probably not. We want 25 players in there, but such is life currently in Aston Villa in the halls of B6 at the moment. Where else are we? I'm going to just scroll right down here, guys. So apologies if I miss anybody's comments. Miles Morris says, Paddy will be happy tonight with the Shells result. Well, I know betting isn't for everybody, but let's just say Paddy has sent me on a screenshot of his winnings from tonight. Let's just say so. He's absolutely delighted as well. Yes, and I do want to say as well, guys, that I think about Villa TV. Yes, the clunkiness, the in and out of the video, the first 4 minutes or something being missed and stuff like that. Look, all that stuff happens. It's an in-house broadcast. They're tough to. I've done them before, not for Villa TV. I've done broadcasts of GA games here with multiple camera angles and stuff like that. And when I'm trying to do the commentary on them, there's not a whole massive production team there with the guys either. But listen, look, I completely understand everybody's frustration. I just did have a little chuckle when it didn't work, going, oh my God, I remember when I used to do that. And it absolutely, like, the panic that comes across you to get stuff fixed and hope you can get stuff fixed is just incredible. So to all the production team there, keep soldiering away. I feel your pain, but at the same time, there's tens of thousands of fans out there that want to be able to see 90 minutes of the game and not 85 minutes of the game or 82 minutes of the game or 81 minutes of the game. So I can empathize on both sides of the fence from that one for sure. Absolutely can. The panic side and also the frustration side as well. Here, where are we now? Just going to come down and try and find some more comments there. Is there something you guys there talking about? Oh, sorry, no. It's just I thought somebody was talking about a bid being accepted for Bailey. Just on Leon Bailey. Pop in the comments there. How did you guys feel he played tonight? Because I will be honest with you, I started off the game wanting to look at him very intently, and I did, but Buendia was just kind of catching my eye all the time. Even off the ball, he was catching my eye. And I thought Bailey was a small bit better tonight. He's a bit more direct. He was a bit more kind of thoughtful in what he was doing. And you know what? I will launch into probably a Leon Bailey kind of devil's advocate situation here. And before I get into this, I'm no need to comment saying Bailey should be sold. He's only had one good season. Absolutely agree with the fact he's only had one good season. But I was there today and I was looking at, I was trying to think about Leon Bailey. I was there. Why hasn't it clicked for him with Aston Villa? And the three things I suppose that I could come up with was, number one, when he first came into the league, the adaptation to the physicality of the league, I thought really affected him. Secondly, then there was injury issues with him where he couldn't stay fit, and then he had the crisis of confidence. Remember that whole thing about where he came out and he said that he wasn't feeling mentally strong enough, and he was crying on the field. Remember that, when he was crying on the field? And then he had the Jamaica situation whereby this is his own doing. Don't get me wrong, this one is very much his own doing. Just decides to up and not play for Jamaica for a period of time. That brought a lot of negative attention to a guy who had said that he was struggling with mental strength at the time. And he brought that on himself. I will say. But all those things kind of combined, I suppose, have been in one or two ways a detraction from him and his and you know what would be the laser focus of playing for Aston Villa. No, I'm not excusing any of those for him. I'm not making it as an excuse. I'm not saying it should be a pity party for him, for Leon Bailey. He's been heavily compensated by Aston Villa from a monetary point of view. We paid quite a lot of money for him. Our expectations are high, and we've gotten one season. But you know, there is definitely a player in there, and Villa will most likely sell him this offseason. We will most likely sell him this offseason. But what I'm getting at here is I have absolutely zero ill will towards Leon Bailey. And if he does end up leaving, I hope his career arc is strong when he leaves the club. Obviously, not to a Premier League team, but let's say he goes to Turkey. I hope he has a very good campaign, and because he seems like a likable, affable type guy. But I think, you know, as I said there, sometimes maybe he gets in his own way, and then other times I think that the footballing gods maybe converge against him. But yeah, as I said, tonight I thought he was a lot more direct, a lot more thoughtful with the ball. And should he stay around with Aston Villa, I'd like to see him be more like that, more situational play, more you know, more of a jigsaw piece than wanting to play YOLO ball and hero ball and having to dribble that ball all the way up and cut inside on the left hand side every time. I suppose a bit more thoughtful player, as I said, and that's the third time I've used the word thoughtful with him. If he is to stick around, but as I say, the writing for me is probably on the wall with him, and I would say if the offer that Villa want comes in, they will probably accept it for him as well. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, I suppose, because it's I spent an inordinate amount of time today on my day off thinking about Leon Bailey, which is not healthy for any man, I suppose, really. Right, I think I'm gonna go and I'm gonna leave you guys. But thank you so much to everybody. Thanks a million again to Josh from Villa from the Stands. For rating us as well. I really appreciate that. Hopefully I can repay the favor sometime as well for you, Josh. Thank you so much to everybody who's joined us as well today. If you are a fan, once again, I'm going to plug the Villa AM little segments that we have. I actually put it on YouTube by mistake yesterday. So some of you guys got to see it, and it looks like the reaction to it has been actually really positive. So I'm going to put it on YouTube. So the way that I do it is I've recorded it as a video with the full production in it that we would normally do on the stream here. And then I've just taken the audio and I've been putting up an audio because I wasn't sure whether people would have an appetite for an 8-minute video rounding up the news, but seemingly through all the lovely comments I've gotten that you guys do. So we'll be doing that again. The Villa AM, essentially, for any of you who don't know what it is, it's for one of those, if you've got a short commute and you just want to make sure that you didn't miss any Villa news, we try and round up all the Villa news within 8 minutes. That's what we tried to do. And then obviously we'll have this long form stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, come check out Villa AM tomorrow, both on the podcast platforms, and now we'll be doing it on YouTube since I made a mistake last night. And I said it through force of habit. I set it to go live on YouTube this morning. Yeah, and tomorrow at 10 a.m. you guys will see that interview I had with Alexander Barker as well from the Athletics too. So if you are into scouting, and if you are following Alexander, if you're not, get following him. If you're into scouting, if you are, well, then you're in for a treat, because I think he speaks really eloquently and really, really well about Evan Gassend. And it was an enjoyable, very enjoyable conversation I had with him. Before I go, I just wanted to say thank you so much to True Magpie for this. Very optimistic for the season. Main men still in the building in Europa League provides a redemption arc for Buendia, Bailey and Ealing Jr., etc. Absolutely, what a brilliant way to finish a positive night for Aston Villa versus ROma with that lovely positive comment. And thank you so much for that contribution as well to keeping the podcast on the road as well. True Magpie, I really appreciate it as well. So thanks so much, everybody. Onwards and upwards from here, and we'll see you again Saturday, and we'll see you probably every day in between, because we've got so much lined up between now and the start of the season. So thanks so much for your time, because we can never give that back to you. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.